All right, let's talk about an island. An island that was meant to be a perfect paradise. But, well, it turned into something else, something much, much darker. This is the story of Pitcairn.
And really, this whole story revolves around that one question. Because it turns out, when you try to force a perfect world into existence, you can accidentally create your own private hell.
First thing you need to get your head around is just how isolated this place is. We're talking about a tiny volcanic rock in the middle of the South Pacific. It's thousands of miles from anywhere really. And that isolation, it's not just a backdrop. It's pretty much the main character in this whole saga. So, long before the famous mutineers ever set foot on this island, it had a history of a society that rose and then completely disappeared.
Yeah, for about 400 years, a Polynesian society actually did really well here. They thrived. But eventually, they just used up everything the island had to offer. Trade routes dried up, you can bet conflict wasn't far behind, and then, poof, they were gone. The island was empty again, like a silent warning for anyone who might come next.
And so the island just sat there, empty, for centuries, until a crazy, dramatic event on the other side of the planet set in motion a chain of events that would bring a new and way more famous group of people to its shores.
You've probably heard of this one, the Mutiny on the Bounty. It's legendary for a reason. You've got these British sailors, right? They spend 6 months living it up in Tahiti, a literal paradise, and then they're told it's time to go back to the miserable, brutal life on a Navy ship. Yeah, no thanks. They mutinied, shoved their captain onto a tiny boat, and took off with the ship. Now they were wanted men, fugitives, and they needed a place where nobody would ever find them.
And they found the perfect spot. Pitcairn. This little forgotten island was actually in the wrong place on all the British maps, which made it the absolute perfect hideout. This, they thought, was their chance. A chance to start over, build a brand new Eden, a society with no kings, no captains, just freedom.
But that dream of a perfect new world, it was doomed from the very beginning. The whole idea of a peaceful utopia just collapsed, and it happened fast, terrifyingly fast. So, let's look at who we've got. 27 people in total. You have 9 of the British mutineers, 6 Tahitian men, and 12 Tahitian women. That's it. Just 27 souls, completely alone, with a chance to build a whole new world from scratch.
Right, but here's the fatal flaw. The poison was baked into the society from day one. See, the 9 mutineers each claimed a Tahitian woman for themselves. That left just 3 women for the 6 Tahitian men who were basically treated like servants. This wasn't a community of equals, not even close. It was a ticking time bomb of resentment.
And then someone lit the fuse. One of the mutineers, it turns out, was clever enough to figure out how to distill some seriously strong booze from a local plant. You mix that potent alcohol with the boiling anger from the Tahitian men, and that's it. That's all it took for their paradise to completely fall apart.
And things went south fast. All that alcohol fueled some serious cruelty, which finally sparked the uprising. The Tahitian men rose up and killed most of the mutineers. But they didn't get to enjoy their victory for long, because then the women turned on them, killing their new masters. It just became this insane, chaotic spiral of revenge and murder. So after about 10 years of pure bloodshed, out of all 15 men who first landed on the island, only 1 was left alive. His name was John Adams, and there he was, the last man standing, surrounded by women and children on the ruins of their failed utopia. So from the ashes of this total bloodbath, John Adams decided to build a new society, a society built in his image. First, he took total control, became the patriarch. He got rid of the main source of the violence by destroying every single plant on the island that could be used to make alcohol. Smart move. Then, he grabbed the old Bible from the HMS Bounty and used it to create a super devout, super strict Christian community. And finally, he repopulated the island, fathering dozens of children with the surviving women, all living under his new, rigid rules.
And you know, when a ship finally stumbled upon the island again in 1808, what they saw was, well, a peaceful, God-fearing little village. The story got back to England and became this huge legend, a tale of redemption, of how faith could tame the most savage hearts. Nobody had a clue that this peaceful little society was built on a foundation of mass murder and absolute control.
Even after Adams was gone, this pattern of one person having total control just continued. The island's isolation was like a magnet for weird, powerful personalities. You had this charismatic adventurer who took over, then a straight-up con man who literally declared himself king before they kicked him out, and then a Seventh-day Adventist missionary came, converted the entire island, and even made them get rid of all their pigs, and that faith is still the main one there today. So the faces changed, but that dark, strange, isolated vibe, that never really went away.
So for the next couple hundred years, Pitcairn was just this weird historical footnote, a curiosity, but the violence of its birth, its very foundation, had left a scar, a deep hidden scar that was about to be ripped wide open. Yeah, the official story was a good one, a powerful myth, right? A story of redemption, of a dark past being saved by faith. It was a story that completely hid what was really going on.
And then, in 2004, that entire myth just shattered. A police investigation uncovered a secret that had been festering, hidden away on that tiny island for generations.
The number they came back with was just staggering. 1/3. 1/3 of the entire adult male population on Pitcairn was charged with decades of systemic, widespread sexual abuse of the island's children. I mean, it was so deeply ingrained in the culture, so normalized, that the frickin' mayor of the island was one of the men charged.
And here is the final, absolutely chilling piece of the puzzle. Almost everyone living on the island today, the victims and the abusers, are direct descendants of those original mutineers and their Tahitian partners. That violence, that deep inequality that was there on day one, it never left. It just hid. It went underground, poisoning the community from within.
You know, the story of Pitcairn started as a quest for freedom, a way to escape tyranny, but in the end, that same isolation that gave them freedom, it became a cage. And it really leaves you with a haunting question, doesn't it? Can a place ever truly escape the sins of its past, or are some echoes just too loud to ever fade away?